Well, Swift has a goal to have 5,000 corporates on Swift by, I want to say 2013, but that may be incorrect. So you'll have to double check that. It might be as long as 2015. Regardless, I mean, that's taking an exponential growth rate. So do they need to do more? If they're going to meet that goal, they definitely need to do more. And I think banks recognize that the corporates have this access, and I think that the corporates that have identified it and gotten themselves on see some value, but there's definitely a challenge in dealing with getting onto Swift when you've been a corporate, you've had no experience with it. How do you really know to get set up? Do you really want to have to develop the coding expertise? Keep up with it, or can you use the service bureau? What are the other solutions?
Swift has done a very good job, I think, in shifting from being a bank-only connectivity provider to being a truly open provider. And in a number of iterations, Swift has created, I think, a very good proposition now for corporates. And we're seeing good growth, albeit from a very small base. What I'd like to see is Swift grow in confidence in providing connectivity to corporates, and also to package up its services more precisely so that our corporate partners can see more clearly what they would be buying into. And I think if Swift do that, then potentially the connectivity or the numbers of clients connecting to Swift who are non-bank would increase significantly. I always think about corporates as Swift migrants versus banks who are Swift natives. So a bank understands the idiosyncrasies, the complexities, some of the oddities of Swift that have grown up over decades, and a bank would be comfortable with that. A corporate whose line of business is not banking, it might be shipping, it might be manufacturing, it might be services, really needs something that's plug and play. And I think for Swift, the next challenge is how do we, working with Swift, create that plug and play proposition that really can expand corporate usage.
I think that's something that corporates would like to see happen. You know, they've seen some value in Swift. They've seen a network that reaches many, many banks in many, many countries around the world. And so that's a common network. It is a reliable network. It's been scalable. It has standards based on it. So there are values that the corporates have definitely identified. They pushed for this capability in the first place. So yes, I'm sure they would like a voice at the table and a vote, because that gives them a chance to really hear the direction that Swift would take on behalf of corporates. I'm not convinced that now's the time for that to actually happen, however. I think the banks still need to get more comfortable with the concept that corporates are going to be more equal partners in Swift, and that Swift would not just be a bank-to-bank network.
Absolutely, Swift should work closer with the corporates. It is, after all, the corporates that we are serving. After all, it is the corporates that are serving. So I think the partnership is important, the integration is important. Whether should corporates be voting Swift, I think a lot depends on the membership charter. And right now the membership charter is really a bad organization.
The proposition we're offering to the corporate world is one where they can use a well-defined, well-packaged, value-adding service. So our focus really is as a provider of services to a very valued client base, in the same way that a large software provider would engage its clients in user groups, forums, and really work to understand their clients' needs, work on the client experience, but importantly, remain a separate provider. And that's really where we are, where our thinking is. Our thinking is that our corporate world, and certainly speaking to a lot of corporates who use Swift, is they don't want to own Swift. They don't want to be as engaged as the banks who are in the centre of the Swift community. They want to use the services Swift provide in a packaged, clear, reliable way. and we're very happy to help them in that mode.